this recent interview that this podcast, this clip from Jameela Jamil. She talks about, and she has a couple guests, as you can see here, Amy Schumer, Chelsea Handler. And what I had known from her previously is she has Jamil has given some advocacy towards like socialist and left-wing policies. Back on her show last year, she gave a monologue in favor of defund the police and explaining what that really means. So I do think that's a positive, but you're going to see she is going to lose some of her goodwill for what she had kind of built as being someone supportive to left-wing policy.
However much we may all hate capitalism, and however much we may acknowledge the evils of capitalism that do exist, currently, money is freedom for women. And I know that that is the dirty and wrong and unsocialist and un-Marxist thing to say, but being able to know that if I have an emergency, I don't have to rely on a man, and that I can make my own decisions, and that I as a businesswoman can hire other women and people of color and people from backgrounds that don't always get hired for jobs, gives me freedom ultimately. However much
Yeah, you can see. I want you to look at the faces that Chelsea Handler and Amy Schumer, when they first, look how blank their stare was when she first broke out the terms Marxism and socialism. Then you knew when Jamil kind of made that 180. Yeah, you could tell that both Schumer and Handler wanted to be like, but they had to contain themselves because what we do know about those two women is they're both two of the biggest fake woke celebrities that we have. And the fact that those two women are a great example of the problem of what the current state of feminism is, which is pretty much boils down to female capitalism. And the fact that Jamil is now throwing away that principle of being supportive of socialist Marxist left-wing policies, and her defense is pretty ridiculous. And I guess even though she wasn't added, she had people DM her the result, that it was being shared. Way to remove all context. This is about me being able to have the money to run a company that solely exists to support and platform activists, create free mental health content, and change policy to create policy to help the mental health of minors. Hardly girl boss shit. My point was that if we don't do it, white billionaire men won't. So while we work towards socialism, which is a way off, let's put the money into the hands of those who can help others, rather than bow out and hope the greedy white male billionaires can help the marginalized. Then Ryan Wentz, with his response, so we should work towards socialism by becoming capitalist, exploiting others and accumulating wealth. I'm confused. No, we should amplify the voices of socialists by creating content by for them and creating content for humanitarian issues that need addressing. These things sadly cost money to make. You think white men are just going to save the world and give their billionaires away their billionaires, huh? Below is the milquetoast content that you created for about Palestine. Maybe set this one out. And as this image is going to show, this is going to be pretty much your both sizing that you've seen a lot from celebrities. And that we can't just let that be adequate. Because we have seen a few celebrities make stronger stances on Palestine. Celebrities, entertainers, athletes like Kyrie Irving, Dua Lipa. But we've seen a lot of them make the afraid to step out of that pro-Israel box. But there's been a few who have been strongly right on that issue. And so that was pretty bad. And this is the shield. I can still continue to act as a capitalist, so please don't hurt my ability, because these white billionaire men over here won't do anything. And that's emblematic of what liberal feminism is. Because you got two women right here. As I said, they're both fake woke feminists, in Amy Schumer and Chelsea Handler. And even though Amy Schumer tries to have the right stance on like Black Lives Matter and whatnot, but you can't take her seriously. And you know why? It's because she'll never come out in criticism of Uncle Chuck Schumer. Because if Amy Schumer was really serious about advocating for Black Lives Matter and helping out marginalized communities, guess what? She would actually have become critical of her own family in office, and that would apply for anyone, in my opinion, who does have family that works in politics. And that if you're going to stay mum or silent on them, then you're probably not going to direct them in the right direction, in my opinion. And that's the problem that you have with these celebrities like Chelsea Handler, Amy Schumer, is the fact that, you know, their politics just essentially revolve around being anti-Trump. And the reason why this makes Jameela Jamil look worse is the fact that you thought she was one of those more left-leaning celebrities. But now she's just proven that she's not much different than them, because she is trying to defend the right to act as the rest of the elite capitalist class. Guess what? Eat the Rich doesn't just include all those rich white billionaire men. Eat the Rich includes Oprah Winfrey as well. And it just goes to show you that there's so many celebrities out there who try to get their fan base to believe that they're in favor of a socialist platform. But when it comes down to it, they just end up going to the side of the Democratic establishment. And that was painfully clear following the Bernie Sanders campaigns. But there's more from her. And more from Ryan continuing to go in on Jameela. Well, she tried to escape that thread by just starting one on her own timeline. But as you can see, Ryan Wentz would not allow that to happen. So let's start from the beginning. Of this thread here. My point was that if we don't do it, white billionaire men won't. So while we work towards socialism, which is a way out, let's put the money in the hands of those who can help others, rather than we bow out and hope the greedy white billionaires help the marginalized. And he says, so we should work towards socialism by becoming capitalists, exploiting others, and accumulating wealth. This is so true. As I said, when I quote tweeted the original post of the video, is you really think that the way to get us towards socialism is to capitalism harder? Then this is pretty much what her defense of being a female capitalist is. I'm more girl lost than girl boss. You're quite literally a millionaire. And if we've learned anything recently, or these past few weeks, especially with Rihanna becoming a billionaire, LeBron James becoming a billionaire, close to it as well, is the fact that when it's all said and done, even the celebrities that you like more also exploit people in order to get there. And it doesn't matter how much more they work for their wealth in comparison to billionaires that pay them. They prove that they also exploit people on the way to becoming richer and billionaires. Spending my Wednesday night being told to shut the fuck up by Jameela Jamil for criticizing her cowardly stance on Palestine. As I already read that tweet, so I just decided to just go read the quote tweet. Capitalism is absolutely the core of evil, and it has so many ties to white supremacy, but it's not going to be sorted out overnight. It's going to take old straight white men, 1%, to tap out of capitalism first for the rest of us to even be safe on basic levels realistically. Come on. This is really the dumbest fucking arguments that I've seen for how we're going to get billionaires to do their share to help improve society. If anything, it's going to take hard, direct action on our part. And you think, and this boils down to her sentiments being, if we ask nicely, maybe they'll do it eventually. Then if they say no, we just gotta be more persistent. And this photo from a Instagram post. Congrats, Kamala Harris. May you bring more rights for healthcare for all, for the safety of trans people, for reproductive rights, prison reform, police reform. Please, please, get those poor children and their parents out of the cages at the fucking border. See, this is how you know that you can't take someone like her seriously. If you're really believe that Kamala Harris is capable of doing anything like this. She's the top cop. And you think you've got a chance of hell getting any of this from her? This just shows you how deeply under serious she is. She's the top cop. She wants to keep prisons full, and continue to carry on that part of capitalism where we have the cogs in place to keep it going. And this also shows naive she is, because one of the liberals' favorite arguments in favor of voting for Joe Biden is they believe that they would really address the cages at the border. And all we've seen in terms of immigration is Joe Biden has now decided to, pack the cages even more, even though we still have problems with COVID. Open up another one of those caging facilities. He's going to deport records amount of immigrants. And it's not just brown people. It's also black people as well. Specifically Haitians. So this is why you can't take fake socialist, progressive types like Jamil seriously. And she tries to say that she's trying to advocate for mental health. Slaying the capitalist beast through content and advocacy. How revolutionary of you. And the fact that what also makes her unserious is if you believe that Amy Schumer and Chelsea Handler are going to be a good guest to push that forward, because when it comes down to it, they're worse than you. They're neoliberals who are going to drag down the effect of that so-called goal you're trying to accomplish. And this tweet here, I'm down for the cause of socialism, but men are going to have to give up their wealth and power first. History has proven what happens to women when only men hold those cards. Absolutely fine to dismiss me as a capitalist pig for feeling that way. You said hiring people from marginalized communities, thereby exploiting their labor, gives you freedom. Am I missing something? Exactly. And tell me how this differs from any other type of capitalist. Sorry, if you pay someone a good wage for their labor, someone with skills who isn't able to use them because they're discriminated against, where's the exploitation? I am marginalized and get hired for TV jobs and paid. Am I being exploited? And I'm sure this is the top argument that any type of millionaire would make, saying, oh, I have to work more for my money from these billionaires that aren't going to give up their place in society just yet. So, in the meantime, let me just do the same thing, because it's more important that you go after them first instead of me. Nope, that's just very unserious behavior on your part. And why we should not fall for celebrities like Jamil, because they're going to misguide you in the wrong direction of revolution. Because she's a milquetoast progressive liberal type who ultimately is always going to tell you the way forward is to just keep voting. And that is extremely naive. And the fact that if you challenge her on the revolution front, I bet you she is going to argue in favor of civility. And even though we would rather not have a violent revolution, it's unfortunate that it's likely the only way that we're going to have to get out of capitalism, because these billionaires, and it's not just white rich people, are going to make peaceful revolution impossible. So you can't let yourself get misguided by people like her who advocate for being for all the left-wing policies you're for, but they're absolutely going to lead you astray and down the wrong pathway towards getting any of those goals done. Because in reality, we got to be a lot stronger on the direct action front. And we don't have people on the inside who are going to really fight for us. So that's why we've got no other option other than to strengthen ourselves from the outside and force these capitalists into bending to our will. Because it's not going to happen when we follow people like her and other content creators on the left who try to advocate for staying engaged in electoralism, especially when they're so-called progressive candidate. So overall, Jameela Jamil is just a deeply unserious person at the end of the day.